All right, let's work our way through some of these. So first one, we're given the angle pi over 4. Change that into degrees by multiplying by 180 over pi, and we get 45 degrees. Didn't know that already. That was an easy one. So let's, all right, Aldrich, let's do better than that. Let's draw that reference angle of 45 degrees. Ooh, that's weird. Okay, so here's my 45. So obviously we have a 45, 45, 90. The sides are 1, 1, and the square root of 2, which means the coordinates of this point are 1, 1. So, secant of pi over 4, and you can go back and look in your notes as I go through these to find the sides of the special triangles and find the ratios that we're using for these trig functions. Secant is r over x, so that would be square root of 2 over 1, also known as square root of 2. Then if we want to do the cosecant of pi over 4, if we check our notes, that is going to be r over y, so that's square root of 2 over 1 also, which works out to be square root of dose. Tangent of pi over 4 is y over x, which in this case means 1 over 1, which is 1. And cotangent of pi over 4 is x over y, which is also 1 over 1, which is 1. Okay, that's how that one works out. All right, now let's play the same game with 5 pi over 6. First step, change it into degrees. Pi is cancel. 180 divided by 6 is 30. 30 times 5 is 150. So if I made a 150 degree angle, that would look like this: 0, 90 plus 60 more. So this little angle is 30. So that means that this side is 1, this is 2, this is negative square root of 3, which makes the coordinates of this point negative square root of 3, 1. Alright, so away we go. Secant 5 pi over 6 is r over x, so that would be 2 over negative square root of 3. Cosecant of 5 pi over 6 is going to be y over x, so that's 1, I'm sorry, r over y, so that's 2 divided by 1, or just 2. The tangent of 5 pi over 6 is y over x, so that's 1 over negative square root of 3. And finally, cotangent of 5 pi over 6 is x over y. So that's negative square root of 3 over 1, which is negative square root of 3. Alright, same dealio, this time with 2 pi over 3 multiplied by 180 over pi gives me 120 degrees. Let's draw our reference triangle from that. So 90 plus another 30 only gets me to 120. So that means that this time I have a 60-degree angle down here. And this is a 30. So this is 1. This is 2. And this is square root of 3. Of course, this is negative 1. Alright, so coordinates of this point, negative 1, square root of 3. So if I take that and use it to figure out the secant of 2 pi over 3, secant is r over x, so that's 2 over negative 1, which of course is just negative 2. Cosecant of 2 pi over 3 is, the magic chart tells us, r over y, so that's 2 over square root of 3. If you really wanted to, you could rationalize this denominator. So multiply top and bottom by the square root of 3, so that would be 2 root 3 over 3, which is probably the answer in the back of the book. Tangent of 2 pi over 3 is y over x, so that's root 3 over negative 1. Beautiful handwriting, love that. So that's negative square root of 3, and then finally cotangent of 2 pi over 3 is x over y. So that would be negative 1 over the square root of 3, or if you wanted to rationalize the denominator, that would work out to be negative 3 over, negative root 3 over 3. Alright, moving forward. Ooh, this looks gross. Alright, secant of 135 degrees. So, okay, there's 0, there's 90, and then I've got to go another 45 there. So I'm going to kind of not draw the triangle. We know this is a isosceles right triangle, so the x coordinate is going to be negative 1, the y coordinate is going to be 1. So that means that the secant, this is square root of 2. So the secant 135 degrees. Secant is r over x, so that is the square root of 2 over negative 1, which works out to be negative square root of 2. Alright, how about the cosecant of 210? So 210 degrees is going to look something like this, 90, 180, 30. So let's see, in a 30, 60, 90, this guy is 1. This guy is square root of 3. This is 2. Of course, both of these are negative. So cosecant of 210 degrees is, cosecant, we're looking at r over y. So 2 over negative 1. Okay. Moving on, let's go tangent of 60 degrees. So tangent of 60 degrees looks like this. The 30, 60, 90, let's see, the hypotenuse is 2. This is going to be 1. That would be square root of 3. So if I want to do the tangent of 60, that is the y coordinate, so square root of 3 divided by the x coordinate, so square root of 3. Okay, cotangent 225, this was going to be an easy one because it's going to work out to be a 45, 45, 90, because 90, 180, and then another 45. So this is negative 1, this is negative 1, and the radius is dose. Cotangent of 225 is x over y, so negative 1 divided by negative 1, which is 1. Alright, what did I say? It's a 13? Alright. Oh, okay, this is a little bit different. So now we're given the sine of an angle. We're not told what the angle is, but we're told that the sine of the angle is 3/4 and that we are in quadrant 2. So if the sine of the angle is 3/4, that means that the y value is 3 and the radius is 4, because remember sine is y over r. So then we could use the Pythagorean Theorem to figure out that this side over here is going to be negative square root of 7. And I did that by going 3 squared plus y squared equals 4 squared. So 9 plus y squared equals 16. So y equals square root of 7. And I chose the negative because of the quadrant that we're in. Okay? Alright, so now we can find all of the things that we need to find using our definitions. So remember that, we don't know the angle. Remember that cosine is x over r, so that's negative root 7 over 4. Secant, killing it with the handwriting, is what? R over x. So 4 over negative 7. Oh yeah, these are inverses of each other. 4 over negative square root of 7. Cosecant is the inverse of sine. So that's going to be 4 over 3. Or you can just know that it's cosecant is r over y. So I just took the radius divided by the y coordinate. Then tangent, we have chit-chatted about already, being y divided by x. So that would be 3 divided by negative root 7. And cotangent is the opposite of that, x over y. Alright, almost there, hang in there. Same dealio, we are given this time the cosine of an angle and told that we are in quadrant 3 somewhere, we don't know where. But we know that the cosine is negative 1/3, so that means that this is x and this is r. So x is negative 1, r is 3. Again, with a little bit of a simple application of the Pythagorean Theorem, we would get this, which would tell us that y would be equal to the square root of 8, which we could rewrite as 2 root 2. So this guy right here is 2 root 2. Alright, so now we're ready to rock and roll. The sine of this angle is, and this is the angle, by the way, this whole thing here that leads us to that spot. The sine of that angle is y divided by r. So 2 root 2 divided by 3. The secant of that angle. Cosine is x over r. Secant is r over x. So those are just inverses. So secant is going to be negative 3. Cosecant. So sine, so let's put that up there. These are inverses of each other, so I'm just going to flip that over. Tangent is y divided by x, so y is 2 root 2 divided by x, which is negative 1, so that makes negative 2 root 2, and then cotangent is that flipped over. Can't read mine. Oh, I'll just flip this over here, so that would be negative 1 over 2 root 2. Oh, what would you get if you rationalize that denominator? Great question, Dylan. Well, I'm going to think of this as being the square root. Well, then I would end up with negative 2 root 2 over 8, which would be negative root 2 over 4. All right, last one, then we'll call it a day. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Now we got the tangent, 12 over 5, and then this nonsense means that we're in the first quadrant, because 0 to pi over 2 means 0 in between 0 and 90 degrees. So we're in the first quadrant, and we know that the tangent is 12 over 5, so that's y over x. Society's beginning to break down, you can tell already, because I'm not completing my triangles. Jeez Louise. And then if we use the Pythagorean theorem, we would find that this is 13, because 25 plus 144 is 169, and the square root of that is 13. So now we can very easily find all of our trig ratios. Sine is y over r, 12 over 13. Cosine is x over r, so 5 over 13. Secant goes with cosine. Those two things are inverses of each other. Cosine is x over r. Secant is r over x. So that's going to be 13 over 5, which I know you could write as 2.6, but generally you don't do that in trig. You just leave it as a fraction. It wouldn't be wrong if you did it, but just generally speaking, you don't. Cosecant is the inverse of sine. That is 13 over 12. And then that leaves us with our old friend cotangent, which is the inverse of tangent, so that would be 5 over 12. All right, that wraps it up. Tomorrow we'll get excited about some trig identities if you want. Again, this is enrichment only. just if you are concerned about getting behind in your general mathematical knowledge, will not affect your grade. Hope you guys are doing well. See you later.